Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with us during the busy holiday season today to talk about the story of strategic business relationship management and IT operations at the University of Lincoln. We have with us Tim Ingham. He's head of ICT operations at the University of Lincoln and an early adopter of the Convergence BRM, digital BRM toolset. Also with us is myself. I'm John Cloyce III. I'm Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Excalibur Data Systems. We are the exclusive distribution and services partner for the Sollertis Convergence digital solution here in North America. A business relationship management professional with extensive experience in ITIL and service management. I was the 2012 ITSMF USA Member of the Year and also an ambassador for the Cloud Credential Council, creating vendor-agnostic cloud standards for training and certification programs. Also with us is Simon Kent. Simon is the Chief Innovation Officer and co-founder of Sollertis, and has created the Convergence digital toolset. Simon was awarded the 2016 BRM Trailblazer Award by the Business Relationship Management Institute. Also a BRMP with a strong background in ITIL and a long-standing Cherwell software partner with 20 years of experience in service management and customer experience and help desk and a plethora of IT-related areas. And the star of our show today is Mr. Tim Ingham. Tim, as I mentioned, is head of ICT operations at University of Lincoln, very into neuro-linguistic processing. And if you had seen the invitation, you probably know that Tim is a Doctor Who guru fan, so much to the point that he actually got to guest appear on the Doctor Who show. I'm going to take about a minute and 20 seconds to let you get a taste of Tim's appearance.
I'm gonna stop you, Subtil. I will paralyze you and take your brain. Get out or I'll shoot. I'll shoot first. I'm warning you. I'm warning you. You'll die, Subtil. You'll die, Captain Jack. Die now and die forever.
John? What are you doing in here? Everyone's gone home.
I was just showing a friend of mine around the TARDIS.
My name is Sal Till.
It's Tim.
From the planet Aminopia.
Stoke-on-Trent.
Okay. Well, I was just heading off. Do you want a lift?
No, fine. We'll tidy up.
Oh, and John, another thing.
Yeah.
My TARDIS.
Yeah.
Say sorry.
Sorry. Good.
I have to admit, I am a little less blue this afternoon than I was in that clip, but nevertheless, it's always good to hear that. Again, it has been a few years since I travelled in time, and a little bit less sedate story today about the story of strategic BRMs and IT operations at the University of Lincoln. So, just to give you a little bit of background to Lincoln and the University of Lincoln, we are based in the sort of East Midlands, east side of the UK. For any of our American listeners, Boston, where the Pilgrim Fathers sailed from, is about 20 minutes drive from where I currently am, and is actually in the county of Lincolnshire. The University of Lincoln was founded in 1996, and we've only just celebrated our 20-year anniversary. So we're a relatively young university when you compare to such institutions as Oxford and Cambridge. With that in mind, this kind of gives you a bit of a breakdown of the current student numbers and staff numbers that we support. Being a young university, we focus primarily on undergraduate students, as you can see from the figures there. But we're also looking to increase our postgraduate research and international student base, with international students now, I think, coming from many countries, including such far-flung points as South America. Academic and support staff is quite evenly split. I think if you've got anyone listening who is working in higher education, I'm pretty certain it will be the same around the world as it is in the UK. We're quite lucky in the sense that we get to, effectively, we know who our customers are and we know when our busiest periods are going to be. So demand management becomes not easier, but it becomes a little bit more easy to understand during the year when we're going to be busy. Newest student intakes in September, October, this time of year, and the summer, it goes from busy to quiet. So we know that we're going to get a high number of student inquiries to our service desk in the autumn. Likewise, like I say, this time of year and the summer, it goes quieter in one element, but strategic projects are likely to be implemented over these quieter periods for business as usual operations. That being said, although it is easier sometimes because we know who our customers are, those kind of four groups of people you see there, undergraduate students and academic staff and support staff, all have very different and diverse requirements. So academic staff versus maybe staff in HR and finance, the traditional support elements, will have very different requirements, and we as an ICT team, as an ICT department, have to try and meet all those requirements while still fundamentally meeting the objectives of the university. The ICT department in the University of Lincoln is quite a small department really compared to a lot of other institutions in our sector. It's split into three teams. You've got technical services, which is where I'm from. That is your traditional core service desk, first line, second line, third line teams. The 18 members of the information services team, they are kind of back-end developers and sort of business system specialists. And the project management office does exactly what it says on the tin. They are project managers delivering strategic projects and programs for the ICT and university. Being such a small team, we have to kind of effectively wear different hats and do many different roles above and beyond what we are there, what our core responsibilities are. My core responsibility is around service delivery, yet I am also recognised as the ITIL problem manager. Our service desk team leader, she's obviously the leader for the service desk doing first line support, but she's also recognised as the ITIL incident manager. And the members of our PMO, not only are they project managers, but they also are involved in our current BRM function. They are our business relationship managers. So we have to bear this in mind, that quite a lot of people in ICT have very different pools on their time, and thus we're always looking for ways to improve our efficiency and looking at ways that we can help this kind of demand on ICT resource within the university. So what you're going to see today is our current story with the way we integrated BRMs and operations. This is by no means the end of the story. This is only the first 3 chapters, and I believe this story will continue certainly into 2017. So chapter 1 is entitled How, Why and Blue Skies. This is kind of the foundation. This is what went on in the past, how we got to where we are today, and certainly how everything developed from the concept to fruition. Chapter 2 is Thank You Birmingham. I always have to say at this point, someone has to thank Birmingham, but there is a real reason why we thank Birmingham in the UK for getting us on the journey to Convergence. And chapter 3 is Convergence Countdown. This is what went on this year when myself and Simon came together to effectively install and implement the product. So, chapter 1, How, Why and Blue Skies. Where this journey all started, it actually kind of started in the end of 2013. It was about this time, 2013, the University of Lincoln does a biannual staff survey and asking all staff various questions related to fundamental workings of the university. We got the results the following year in 2014, and as a result, we in ICT, we created a number of working groups to tackle various different, not issues, but different subjects that were raised. So for instance, a ICT communications group was created. and a process improvement group was created, and also a blue skies group was created. Now, the phrase blue skies, like a lot of this kind of business vocabulary, can make people cringe. I have to admit, it did make me cringe a little bit, but essentially it was a group that was there to discuss new ideas, new technologies, new initiatives, without kind of the boundaries we currently have in our sort of working day as business as usual. So everyone from the ICT director to myself to technicians that are on the ground were represented in this group. And one of the questions that came up in this quite early in this working group was, is there a way of recording conversations that happen outside of our traditional mediums? So outside of ITSM tickets, outside of project meetings, project plans, and outside even of BRMs and sort of minuted meetings. Because there were a lot of conversations going on with ICT, a lot of feedback being given that wasn't being recorded in any real form at all. And as we got discussing it more, one of our technicians used a phrase, he referred to it as corridor kidnapping, where a conversation will normally be started with, "Oh, while you're here," or "wouldn't it be good if?" The example he gave was he was in the queue for the canteen and someone he knew tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Wouldn't it be good if ICT could put a big TV up on the wall so I don't have to walk into the canteen every morning to see what's on the menu?" Now, this conversation didn't really go anywhere. We didn't put a TV on the wall, and it wasn't really a formal piece of feedback. It was just a conversation. And we kind of discussed, is it possible with what we've got? Would it be possible to actually map out and log these kind of conversations that and discuss them and see whether there's any kind of need to progress them any further? We looked at our current ITSM tool at the time, which was Zendesk, and we felt that it didn't really have the capability to do what we were looking for. We discussed maybe using CRM tools, but then we will be going down a path of effectively having another tool on top of our ITSM tool that really wasn't the best practice way of doing things. We looked at SharePoint and spreadsheets, but really didn't come to any real concrete answer to this question, and we didn't really implement any solution. It was something that was effectively not forgotten about. It was a conversation that was parked pending further investigation to see if there's anything out there in the future that might actually be able to achieve that. Now, at the same time as these working groups, we were working in technical services, certainly beginning of 2014, right the way through that year, and answering one of the age-old questions that a lot of us seem to forget from our day-to-day work, and that is the question of why are we here? What is ICT here to do? Because it became apparent from the feedback from the team that a lot of people didn't really identify with the strategic objectives of the university. They knew what they did on a day-to-day basis, they knew what their day job was, but they didn't see how their day job affected the goals that the university had set itself. So we did a lot of work in team meetings around effectively coming up with a mission statement to actually to put down in writing, why are ICT here? What are we here to achieve for the university? So we've quite easily been able to identify about bringing quality of education to students, about students getting their degrees and things like that, but we never really seemed to be able to quantify some of the smaller aspects of it around the business support function, certainly around research and postgraduate education. There was a lot of mystery and people couldn't relate to those objectives that the university had set itself. So we tried really hard, certainly through 2014 and actually moving into 2015, to make that our priority with our support teams, is to get them to identify more with the university and its sort of strategic objectives. Now this moves into chapter 2, and that's again, thank you Birmingham. This work sort of carried on, like I say, from 2013, 2014 into 2015. And linked with that was the development of our BRM function. Now, prior to being an operations manager, I was the service desk team leader, and I have to admit that I had a negative viewpoint when it came to our BRMs. What I used to see, what my team used to see, certainly from the output from BRMs, was ticket chasing, feedback chasing, kind of the answering the question, why hasn't this been done? And I didn't really see, actually I'll be honest, I didn't really see what the benefit of a BRM was. And it wasn't until I actually became to be operations manager and I saw things from the other side that I realized I could see really quickly what the benefits of a BRM in the university was. Fundamentally, like I'm sure a lot of people know, is to understanding your customer, understanding what your customers' needs are and how you as an ICT function can help them deliver their needs. Essentially, it's bringing value to the business. I didn't see all that from my time in the service desk, but I certainly was able to see it as I moved into this position. However, I did see, and certainly attending some of those early meetings in BRMs, a lot of time wasted talking about very mundane operational things. One meeting springs to mind where I was sat opposite three very senior respected individuals whose salaries probably together equated about £150,000, and we were there discussing why a desktop printer hadn't been serviced in a timely fashion. Now, granted, that was very important to them and their staff, but I felt that it was not relevant for that forum, and for the people certainly around the table, it wasn't a relevant conversation. It needed to be had, but it needed to be had in a different forum. So following on from that experience and others, I discussed with colleagues, and we effectively split the BRM function from just a simple strategic BRM. We split it into strategic BRMs on one side and operational BRMs on another. One side dealing with the high level strategic contacts in the university, and one side dealing with operational contacts who are on the ground, who are dealing with the day-to-day business as usual functions. So they would be things like university, academic, school technicians, ICT representatives, or just simply support staff representatives who are nominated to discuss operational activities. And immediately we could see the benefits of this. One example is with one of the schools in the university, we didn't have a good relationship with them, and that was mainly down to understanding. We didn't understand what they did on an operational level, and likewise they didn't understand how we did things. And by actually getting the operational contacts in a room, effectively for 2 hours, we put names to faces, we built relationships, and we were able immediately to iron out the kinks that were there, and the relationship has been a lot better since that meeting. I think it was 2 years ago now. Those operational BRMs still are there and still produce some really good results. So 2015, I attended the Service Desk Institute conference. It's worth doing a cheap plug for the SDI. I do believe they are actually international as well as UK focused. I know they had a conference, I think, quite recently in Mexico. They do some wonderful things around service desk focused customer service and ITIL and service improvement. We always try and attend their conference. And so in 2015, it's a standard conference. It had the IT Service and Support Awards. So it's a black tie thing. You go and people are nominated for awards, as you would expect from any conference award ceremonies. And we were put on a table with another group of individuals who I believe were from Aberdeenshire County Council. Now they were there they were nominees for one of the awards during the night. And I was sat on a table next to a gentleman called Simon Kent. For the benefits, people looking at the photo now, I'm in the bottom left-hand corner and Simon is immediately to my right. Chance conversation, you kind of look back at it now and you think that any other table, any other night, we might have been sat somewhere else. But me and Simon, we got talking during the evening about ITSM, IT operations, BRMs, and I was explaining him some of the things we'd done around our Blue Skies groups and about answering the why we are here question. And I said to him, look, there isn't a tool out there that can actually link up strategic objectives with operational work. There isn't anything out there that can log these conversations. And Simon actually said to me, he said, well, actually there is, and we're developing it. And again, you kind of look back and you think, had I not attended that event, we might never have crossed paths. But it answered the questions that we've been looking for effectively for 2 years. And I was really interested and kept in contact with Simon over 2015, because at the same time ICT University were looking for an ITSM replacement for Zendesk, and like a lot of things in higher education and public sector in the UK, it's not a simple process of just going out and purchasing something. We have to go through various checks and balances through procurement, and we had to do effectively an options appraisal and go and look at all the tools. So that wasn't just for ticking the box paperwork benefit, but it was also for us, because we needed to understand what we wanted from an ITSM solution. So Cherwell on that list, Heat, Landesk, all the big names you'd expect, and as you'd expect, a lot of them are very similar. And during this process options appraisal, Simon demoed to me the Convergence tool, and this quote comes up quite a lot in his material, and that actually did happen. I do spend some of my time running down corridors getting excited about ITSM, and I really should stop running into my director's office to discuss these things, but yes, that genuinely did happen. Simon showed me the demo of the tool, and I went back to my director and said, do you remember those conversations we had many moons ago about linking up strategic objectives with operational activities? There is a product out there that now can do it. So we added this to our options appraisal. It became another line, another sort of tick in the box to see whether other products could do the same, because of course Sollertis at the time was linked with Cherwell. And we went away in the end of 2015 to effectively select a tool. Thankfully for me, we did actually select Cherwell. It was on other elements other than just linking up with Sollertis. I have to point out there were lots of elements around ITSM that we found very useful and very unique with that product. However, as with many things in, again, higher education and public sector, we went one step further. Rather than just implementing the tool as a technology, we looked at culture change and process change, and thus the time it took from purchasing Cherwell to actually implementing it actually took another year, because we actually went back to basics and looked at incident management, problem management, change management, and changed a lot of our processes at the same time. So that gave us a lot more time to think about how we wanted to do things, and also as well allowed the new university strategy to be launched this year, which actually proved to be quite beneficial for the phase 3 of this process, which was the installation of the tool. Moves quite nicely on to chapter 3. This was a countdown to conversion. This happened over the summer of this year. Obviously, purchasing Cherwell, we were able to also go ahead and acquire the Convergence tool through Sollertis. And as part of that, Simon said he would come on site to install the product. Now, if anyone who works in IT knows, you get a consultant on site. They stay for about 7 days. They drink you out of tea and coffee and spend a heck of a lot of time configuring and tweaking a product. I can say I was ridiculously impressed that this product took 60 minutes to install. Within 1 hour, the product was up and running, and within 1 hour, we were immediately linked to our new strategy within our ITSM tool. This is a screenshot here of what you see through the Sollertis tool, and what you see there are the 5 business objectives or strategic objectives for the university that were imported during that process. You can drill down into these a bit further and actually see who owns these kind of things and things like that, but for the benefit of this presentation, I just thought I'd give you an overview that, again, within 60 minutes, these business objectives were already linked into ITSM tool, which would have allowed our technicians to see that effectively from go live. Like I say, that was installed immediately. We also had something that I'd not considered with regards to the install. We brought our university's enterprise architect on board, because as part of his role within the university, he'd already mapped out many, if not all, of the business processes associated with ICT and non-ICT products. So a chance conversation there allowed us to immediately import 732 of these business processes directly into the tool, which saved a heck of a lot of time inputting things manually, because we were able to import straight from his system into the Convergence tool. Already the Cherwell was linked up through BizTalk and through AD, our effectively staff directory and student directory, so we were immediately again allowed to identify 232 business partners that we could start linking up to the business areas within the university. So again, all the data was there, and this tool effectively, not trying to coin a phrase, but converged all that information together. So quick wins, straight out of the box. This tool, like I said, was able to solve one of our major problems, engagements. This is a picture straight out of the box again. I have not had time to tweak this yet since we went live, but effectively this is logging these conversations. This can be either used formally within meetings or BRMs, or just simply recording information that people have had within corridors, recording feedback that people have had within corridors. Those kind of elements that we were looking for. As with any ITSM tool, you can link this to a customer, you can link this to an owner within ICT, you can link this to business units, business objectives, again through the Convergence tool. But fundamentally for me, from an operations point of view, you can actually link tasks to these engagements and actually get people working on the engagements and fully report back to the requester what we've actually achieved, as well as prioritizing it amongst other work or other operational work. We had an enhanced complaints process. We hadn't even considered this. We have a complaints process through the service desk, but this is kind of done separately through emails and through other conversations. Again, straight out of the box, we can effectively log complaints within our ITSM solution through the Convergence tool. Again, linking it to a requester. It can be owned by a member of ICT. You can pipe off tasks to different individuals to work on those complaints, or alternatively you can kind of review the complaint and not take any further action. But again, it's logging everything, it's reportable, so that you can actually report internally within ICT or report back to the customer what you've done for them in regards to complaints. Already these quick wins have allowed us to see that we can have better, more open 360-degree conversations with the business, and fundamentally it's answering the questions that we've been asking for a very long time. But it's not just about now, it's about the future. Certainly there's the engagement function. That screen, as with a lot of things in Cherwell, is editable, so we can edit that to how we want, and we can have fully structured and reported on BRMs. So the minutes can be added into the system. You can report on what you've done to achieve those minutes, and the customer can see the real-time value of that. Rather than waiting for a report in the next monthly meeting, they can actually check on the progress of how things are going through the usual ITSM functionality. The university at the moment, because the new strategy came out this year, is the different elements of the university are creating their own KPIs. What we can do is, once those KPIs have been created, we can map them into this tool and start showing the different elements of the business how we in ICT are helping them reach their KPIs. We can show to the university how ICT is bringing value to the KPIs that the other elements of the university are trying to achieve. So again, this tool will allow us to report on that, not only for the ICT's benefit again, but for the benefit of the business as a whole. The third element there is demand management. As you saw from the start of this presentation, we're quite a small ICT team. We currently have quite a robust demand management process. That means we have to kind of allocate resource against business need for different elements of the university. And I believe with this tool we can actually fundamentally allow the customers to input their own demand management requests, but actually link it back to their own KPIs and ultimately the university strategy, so they can tell us why they need an ICT input, and we can immediately see how that is factoring into the wider university strategic ambitions, rather than just being very small isolated requests that we need to match against other requests that are coming in from other areas. I think the most important thing for me is I can start linking business processes to individual support tickets. What you're seeing here is a standard sort of incident logging screen. Obviously request, the description of what's going on, service catalog elements, and there's a small little box there called effective business processes and capabilities over to the right hand side. I've typed in the word library there. This small little box has so much power. Effectively, the service desk now, when they log a ticket, they can ask a customer what process, what are they trying to do? Okay, something's broken, but what are they trying to achieve with that piece of technology that's broken? What is their end result? I've typed in the word library there. A searchable field comes up of all the business processes we've inputted. So if a member of the library staff, for instance, was trying to process an invoice and the finance system element wasn't working, they can actually now link that process invoice business process related to the library to that individual ticket. So then we can again report back on this and say that work that you, member of the service desk team, that work that you did on that ticket directly influenced that business process for the library, which in turn affected their KPI for the library, which in turn affected the university's strategic objective of X, Y, and Z. It's that simple now that we can actually now start linking up that very ground level operational work with the high level university strategic objectives. Now these things are all based in the future. These three, I can actually quite honestly say, can be implemented within the next 2 months. You see, we went live with Cherwell on the 31st of October. A strange date to go live, I have to admit, but we're still working through some of the snags you always get with an ITSM tool implementation. But with what I've seen so far with the Convergence tool, I believe within the next 2 months, certainly into the early 2017, we can have fully structured and reported BRMs. We can link to business KPIs when they're being produced by our colleagues in different areas. And fundamentally, we can start saying to our staff, this is what effect the work you're doing is having on the business processes and ultimately achieving the university strategic objectives. So in conclusion, just to go back, 2013 we had 3 questions. Can we record conversations held outside traditional sources with this tool? Yes, we can. Can we link BRM and operational activities with this tool and the work we've done? Yes, we can. And ultimately, most importantly, can we evidence why we are here? And I believe this tool, yes, we can. That's me complete. That's my email address. That's my Twitter contact. Feel free to contact me. I really enjoy getting feedback and having conversations with anyone, anywhere in the world around BRM, ITSM, all manner of different things. So feel free to contact me, and I'll be really happy to speak to you all about this and give you further updates as we move into chapter 4 of our Convergence journey.